special agent from the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension, a former instructor of criminal justice at Metropolitan-State University, and currently serving as an omnibus for the employer support, to come forward and present the wreath and observe a moment of silence to remember those Vietnam veterans who are not here today. Thank you. Between the veterans who served in country, in theater, or who were stationed elsewhere, await word of their fate. These facts provide us some context and understanding of the true cost of war. It is not measured in dollars and cents, but in lives, neighbors, families, and friends who come home with seen and unseen scars that need mending and extensive care, or do not come home at all. These facts are best understood by those who served and their families. Some continue to serve in uniform, while many returned to civilian life, started families, and immediately began contributing to their communities. Some took up service as police officers, teachers, doctors, and nurses. From town halls and boardrooms to their nation's capital, others became leaders and elected public servants. Vietnam veterans also mentored those that followed them in uniform and built the foundations of today's military. Their experience and leadership led to success in Panama, Desert Storm, Bosnia, Iraqi freedom, and enduring freedom. Veterans like the late Army General Colin Powell, who became the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff and later Secretary of State. Air Force General Richard Myers, Marine General Peter Pace, and Navy Admiral Mike Mullen. All who rose to become chairman of the Joint Chief of Staff. And finally, the late Army General Norman Schwarzkopf, who led our troops victoriously in Operation Desert Storm. There are so many more whose names you would recognize, but are far too numerous to mention. These leaders established strategies, tactics, and standards that will endure success. The impact they and other Vietnam veterans from every service had on our current military and its leaders are significant. As World War II and the Korean War reached their 50th anniversary, our nation commemorated our warriors' service and sacrifice. Now, authorized by Congress and the President, and on behalf of the nation, we have the opportunity to do what should have been done 50 years ago. Welcome our Vietnam veterans home, and thank them and honor them and their families for their service and sacrifice. I'm privileged to be with you today. The commemoration's cause is indeed noble, and thanking and honoring these veterans and their families is the right thing to do. I encourage everyone here to please take a moment before you depart to reach out and shake the hand of one of those who served our country. Thank you, and God bless.
I want to thank you very much for the honor of allowing me to be here today. I'm going to give you a short history, and then I want to make some comments. I was in the service. I joined in right out of high school, 1966. I actually joined to be a paratrooper, believe it or not. It's probably the smartest thing I ever did. but a bunch of us did. The service decided I'd make a better MP, sent me to MP school, and I was an airborne MP, and all of a sudden the 101st Airborne was pulling together for battalion strength to go to Vietnam. And all of a sudden they said, well, I'm now infantry. Sent me to a month at Fort Campbell, and then with a giant airlift, we all went to Vietnam. Landed in Saigon. From Saigon, we went to Cu Chi. Then we headed up to the DMZ, because now we're talking Tet. I was there for the big Tet offensive. We were on a mountain, we were fortified, and we fought like they tried to take us again and again. I fought in the jungles, I fought in all kinds of different places, 101st Airborne. And I get people talk about, well, how do you feel about the Vietnam? Don't be confused is what I tell them. I wasn't there supporting the Vietnam War. I was supporting my country and the people standing beside me supporting me. Those are my friends, those are my colleagues, and that's who you fought for. When it comes to Little League, I hope we learn the lessons that don't blame the soldiers for the war, blame the war on the people that, create the war. The people that, it might be for personal reasons or whatever the reason, the soldiers are out there doing their duty because they care. And they really do fight to do what they think is right. And what's changed is, and eye-opening for me, after I was with the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension, I was a senior special agent, I ran the cold case homicide unit for 10 years. Worked with the media a lot. In fact, that media was from my bread and butter. I needed people to know that these cases were out there and I needed their help. From there, I finished my doctorate. I am Dr. Doolittle. I think it's a big part of why I did it, to get the doctorate. And from there, I taught criminal justice for Metro State and then retired again. Then I had the honor of joining a group called, it was for the Department of Defense, ESGR, Employer Supported Guard and Reserve. And the honor was, I give awards to employers who go out of their way to support the troops, the people that work for them. I do briefings. In fact, I got one Sunday actually next 3 weekends in a row. I will meeting with units and giving them briefings on what their obligations, what the law is, and how they should, when they come back or when they go, things they have to do. And I'm a ombudsman. I think that's one of the best parts. When a service member has a problem, now I don't represent the service member. I represent USERRA, which is the federal law. And so my job is to mediate when there's a conflict and help resolve it before it goes formal, before it goes to the next level. So I meet with and help soldiers. But what I did learn, in Vietnam War, I don't say lucky, but I got shot. I got a bullet to the chest. And I was brought back to a hospital in the States. And I didn't go through what my fellow people did, treated like that. But it was there. I remember in a class one day, they're going around the room. When I said I had joined the service, it was like I was shunned. It was a different time. It's not here today. Today, I've never seen so many programs and so many people going out of their way to say thank you. There's programs, and if you look at what happened, after we had a draft, we had a lottery, and then we had a volunteer army, and a huge part is a volunteer army today. And what they realize, it cannot work without, like a three-legged stool, without the family, the soldier, and the employer. And they have family services for the wife and other people, and the job of ESGR is trying to help that one part of it so we can work together, because it can't work without it. And a massive part, close to 50% of our service is reserve and guard today. But I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. Down in Florida, I have never in my life seen so many programs supporting our soldiers today, our service members, for what they do in a positive way. It is a whole different thing. And with that, we find so much support they have today. I've had more people, when I wear my hat, say thank you for your service or welcome back. In fact, we're driving one day, semi started honking, and my wife here started saying, "What are you doing wrong?" And it was because I have a plate say wounded veteran, combat serving. So today, but those lessons change, is what I want to say. Those lessons, I hope we learned those lessons from the past, and we remember, don't blame the service member who's dedicated, is willing to serve his country when you have a problem with a war, because they're just doing what they believe is the right thing. I just want to thank you for the honor of being here today. When Senator Tina Smith, I'm a huge fan. I've been honored to see her, and I appreciate every one of you and you all.
Thank you, Dr. Doolittle. Truly appreciate it. And thank you for your service to our country. Much appreciated. We're going to close our ceremony today by honoring those Vietnam veterans who have passed with a 3-shot rifle volley and the playing of taps. You may want to cover your ears during the rifle. Thank you again for attending today's ceremony.
Well, it was my honor to be here with these veterans to commemorate their service in the Vietnam War, and the real VIPs here today were the veterans. And the stories that I heard of what it was like to serve in the Vietnam War and then to come home, not to be welcomed home, but to almost feel like they needed to hide their service is heartbreaking. And to think of all of those names on the wall in Washington, D.C. of the folks that never came home. It's a beautiful day in Minnesota, and it was a beautiful day to commemorate their service.
Is it a date that kind of gets lost? I mean, it's significant, but it's a kind of old.
Yeah,
Who would have thought?
I think that's right. I think that our country has come a long way in terms of understanding the great sacrifice that Vietnam veterans made and trying to repair the loss of a thank you, the absence of a thank you when they did come home in the in the 60s and the 70s, and it feels very. It just feels wonderful in that sense to be able to help to undo some of that.
Any personal memories going back to this date?
Well, I graduated from high school in 1976, and so I remember quite well the Vietnam War, and I had a cousin who was drafted and served in Vietnam, and I remember how scared we were for him, and was how grateful we were when he came home safe. But I was just talking to a veteran who described he and his 2 brothers serving, and he said, I think today about what it meant for my mother to have all of her sons going off to war in Vietnam, and yeah. Yeah.
I was just talking to a veteran today who was talking about Agent Orange, just a little bit about like how scares that veterans go through,
Yeah.
and just a lot of like personal struggles that particularly veterans from Vietnam felt like that they can talk about, and
Yeah.
just recent things that are coming to light for them. And what do you think events like this do for veterans from Vietnam
Right.
that can help them
Well,
for healing for them?
I think so many of the veterans, when they came back from Vietnam, it was not at a time when our country or the military was really equipped to address the emotional and mental scars that people had. And so many people suffered in silence with the experience that they had and the PTSD that they had as a result of that. I think we have learned so much about that since those soldiers came home from the Vietnam War. The other thing I'm thinking about is there's been so much damage that people have had to their health through their service, and I was so proud that we were able to support in Congress the PACT Act, which was the largest ever expansion of veterans' health care benefits to help people who were injured by burn pits and other chemical damage that they experienced. And I'm just hopeful that Congress can continue to support those veterans with that health care that they deserve from their service.
Yesterday I spoke to a veteran at an event in Anoka, and he said he remembers getting off the bus after serving protesters, and he can't forget the garbage that was thrown at him. I mean, do events like this, I guess, what do you want to tell a veteran like that?
Well, I so appreciated what Dr. Doolittle said as he was making the comments today, and he said we all need to remember that it is not the soldiers' fault, it's not the veterans' fault. They were involved in a war that you didn't support. They were doing their duty. And I think so much about what that must have felt like for those folks who came back and had sacrificed so much, only to be confronted with that kind of hatred. And I think that one of the big goals of events like this today is to find a way to, very symbolically thank people for what they went through and for the service that they provided, and also for me to be able to thank people. I always say thank you so much for your service whenever I have an opportunity, and today was a great way to do that, because as I said, the real VIPs here today are the veterans.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks for your
Thank
time.
you very much.
Have
Have a good week.